Along coastal areas and islands of the Andaman Sea in southern Thailand, there are indigenous groups whom generally known as Chao Lay. These indigenous people live among their group. They have traditional speaking language, possibly Malayic. They worship ancestor spirits and adopt Buddhism as well, following majority of the society. Thai have negative perception on Chao Lay, such as primitive and lazy people. In special occasions or annual events such as Bun Deun Sip or Bun Tek Rajat, Thais always give food, clothes, and money as a way to tambun or making merits to sinners. However, Chao Lay have never realized that they are sinners, but they receive those offered to them as to Rabbun or receive merit that will be transferred to their ancestors. Because of the misunderstanding of Chao Lay's identity in Thai society is the lack of background information of indigenous people. Moreover, the Thai state has ignored their traditional background that relates to the Great Malay Kingdom, was generally known as the Orang Laut. As a result, Chao Lay's identity has been narrowed down to a single stereotype in Thai society. In the 15th century, when the early Malay kingdom was founded in the Straits of Malacca, the Orang Laut provided the naval force for successive Malay kingdoms, navigating treacherous straits, working in the service sector of the port city's economy, and supplied the court with exotic spices and medicinal herbs. Unfortunately, in early 16th century, the Europeans entered and brought the region under the control of the colonial power. One thing they did to decrease the strength of the kingdom was to destroy the maritime influence of the Orang Laut. The Orang Laut were referred as the pirate. The colonial authorities ran an anti-piracy campaign and forced them to settle away from the busy commercial ports. At the late 19th century, the colonial power completely replaced the Orang Laut position of the Malay polities. In the 20th century, the Orang Laut have settled down at the resettlement areas along river mouths, coasts, and islands in Malay Peninsula. They were categorized as the Orang Asli in Malaysia and the Komunitas Adat Terpencil in Indonesia. The Orang Laut have been treated as the minority people of the country. In Islamic countries like Malaysia and Indonesia, perceive their traditional livelihood, such as living in perahu together with dogs and other animals, traveling around archipelago without destination, hunting and eating wild pigs and turtle meat, rarely shower and having no religions, as uncivilized and impure people. Thus, they were subject to develop and integrate with the society. The Orang Laut were encouraged to adopt Islam, having school education and permanent housing at the resettlement villages, where basic infrastructure, masjid, and medical center were provided.
Dulu itu awalnya kan saya masuk di sini tahun 90. Tahun 90 ini baru pembinaan. Jadi ada dulu kepala sukunya Pak Geba itu, ya, arwahnya Pak Geba itu kepala suku. Saya dulu tuh kan masih tinggalnya sama istri ini. Jadi saya sering keluar masuk karena bapak tiri saya kan orang ini, bapak tiri kan. Jadi saya masuk ke sini, jadi kepala suku itu bilang kamu nggak usah pindah lagi. kamu harus tinggal di sini. Nah, bantu saya dia bilang gitu kan. Bantu saya.
The transition into the modern nation state has brought the orang laut to integrate with the major society. Nowadays, the orang laut practice the national way of life and abandon their traditional lifestyle. However, the new living condition doesn't make their life any easier. Unfortunately, it brings plight into their communities sometimes. Under the concern of the orang laut social and economic status, the government implemented several development programs that aim to bring the orang laut communities to live parallel with the majority. But in reality, communities surrounding have never accepted the new identity and still excluded them from social interaction. In the context of state development, the orang laut were viewed as the hindrance. They were relocated from their usual natural resource bases, such as sea and forest.
Orang asli dulu ya, ini cerita dulu di dalam Malaysia. Wah, saya dengar, saya maknya sekolah di dalam ini ya Malaysia dulu hutan. Sekarang orang asli semua potong-potong sudah jadi rumah. Dulu tak ada kereta, tak ada basikal, pakai jalan kaki. Dulu punya kawan asli ya, duduk bikin raket, pakai itu kayu nibung, tahu? Bikin raket tidur atas. Nah, mau bikin Johor punya tempat. Dulu saya punya nenek potong hutan Johor banyak harimau. Dulu banyak harimau. Sekarang Johor ya, tapi orang sudah angkat. Kita duduk tepi, lain orang duduk tengah. Dulu orang tua-tua bikin tu bandar, bikin percuma. Kasih dia orang duduk. Apa pendapatan kita?
Although the orang laut today are facing difficulties, but the awakening of concern over the indigenous people has provided them an opportunity to negotiate. In the changing of indigenous people power in Malay society, the orang laut have founded the youth organization that will work closely with NGOs and other orang asli organizations around Malay Peninsula. The orang laut expect that the NGO will bring them to meet the government whom they can discuss their problem with.
Ini tujuan dia datang sini untuk apa? Nak tubuh satu belia masyarakat orang kita jugalah. Kita nasib baik ada kawan-kawan kita ni nampak pandang jauh, dia ambil berat juga datang sampai sini, sanggup datang dari Selangor, Isang dengan Pak Din. Kita buat kajian seluruh Malaysia orang-orang asli di sini. Dia cuba memantau kawasan-kawasan orang asli Johor.
On one hand, the orang laut has sought assistance from outside, but on the other hand, it also negotiated with the society in daily life by themselves. To gain a better economic and social status, some orang Selatan women prefer to marry Chinese. Because Chinese are good at doing business and they have their relatives to supply the Malayan products. Many of them, after getting married, have turned themselves to tauke or middlemen, sometimes provided loans and buy marine products from the villagers. Even though today the orang laut have become Malaysian, Indonesian and Thai, but negative perception in the wider society toward them are still there. The Orang Laut around Malay Peninsula today have been treated as minority people and been excluded to access the natural resources on their traditional land. However, to bring about a better situation for the Orang Laut, the state authority and the public may need to pay more attention to their historical background and cultural reality.